his service. So when he cooks or do that, clean, I go, oh, honey, thank you for washing the dish.
So many times you think that the touch can only happen during the sexual act and the union between that husband and wife. But the touch could be in the small thing, many boxes. But you never know what's inside until you do what?
Open it.
Open it. All right, and then hold up this, and you'll see that there are other boxes are inside. And men, we need to be romantic. Keep it real.
Everyone, welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real TV. Today we have an exciting show, awesome topic. It is God's love letters to us. I know that's awesome and that's really interesting, but first we are going to thank our sponsors for making it possible, because without our sponsors, we can't make anything happen. So today, this episode 52 of Keeping It Real TV, our sponsors are Dr. Travis Bates, MD, board-certified cardiologist and specialist there. You can see his information up on the screen, so we got to take care of our health, and that is definitely a part of our wealth. So we want to thank Dr. Travis Bates for Keeping It Real TV and sponsoring our show today. Awesome. So let's get to it. Angelique is the co-sponsor. Angelique and myself, Brian Bartholomew, we're both co-sponsoring here as Dr. K is out on personal business, taking care of his mom. We want to definitely give a shout out and send prayers out to him and his family. But we're going to move forward and have fun with the show today. So, Angelique, why don't you introduce our special guest today?
Let's definitely introduce our special guest. We have Kim and EMILIAN White, Kim GAGNE and EMILIAN White here today, joining us for God's love letter to us. We know that it's Valentine's month, but we want to express love in the way that it's truly meant to be expressed, and that's the love of the Father, the love of God for us, for couples, for marriage. And we'll share a little bit about Kim and EMILIAN, but let's first watch this quick clip about relationships.
Hello, I'm Angelique Bartholomew.
I'm Brian Bartholomew.
And I'd like to say the keys to a successful marriage are getting rid of defensiveness, getting rid of defense, and ousting defense. Your partner is your partner. You don't have to defend like you do in the rest of the world. And trust the guy you're with.
Ooh. All right, let's see. Listening and communication. Listening is the key, because if you don't listen, then you can't hear or understand what the other person is really saying. So listening could be both verbal and nonverbal, body language, etc. And certainly communication is really about listening intently and then responding or even verifying what's being said to make sure you both are on the same page.
Being transparent, less defensive. That's the key to a successful marriage.
Yeah.
Or one of the keys, at least.
Many of the keys.
There are many more.
Peace.
All right. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed that clip. It's talking about relationships and the power of relationships and what really helps us sustain them. And our topic today is God's love letter to us, and we want to invite Kim and EMILIAN. Let's share a little bit of information about Kim and EMILIAN White that have joined us today. How long have you guys been married, Kim and E?
30 years, going on 31 years.
Awesome. Well, 31 years, that takes a lot.
It's probably like 200 years in dog lives?
Wow. Remember, it's Valentine's, a love theme. We want to keep it real. We're keeping it real.
No, 31 is just,
it's a lot. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time
to be with somebody. Yes, it is.
Half your lifetime.
Well, tell us.
I know.
Right, half your
it's
lifetime.
Like more than half of my life.
Right.
Wow. Say it like that. Wow.
Well, we're going to delve. We are going to delve into that. I'm sure our audience will love to hear all the, at least some of the great pearls that have kept you guys together for so long, right? What works and maybe what doesn't work, right? So, Angelique.
I think that it's really good to take up where Kim left off. like how has your relationship, or we're talking about God's love letter to us, which is literally the Bible, but more importantly, all of our questions are related to what strengthens you in your relationship and what does God's word really say about that. So with our first question, I want to ask you, Kim, like, how has God led you to strengthen each other in y'all's relationship? Psalms talks about God being our strength and our present refuge, a very present help. How does it relate to y'all's relationship to have that kind of, strength for each other?
Well, I mean, I'll speak for myself and for what EMILIAN's strength does for me. Being a working parent and a working woman all of my life, with the exception of a couple of years that I thought it was a good idea to be a stay-at-home mom, and I realized it wasn't. So with that being said, having strength in relationships and being there for each other is very important. And yesterday it was so interesting. We were out at an event. All of us were at an event, and the people in the room were saying how they lean on EMILIAN. And you did something that was really interesting. You put your hand on him and you say, "I lean on this rock all the time." And so that was very interesting to me. And I thought,
wow,
what a good, analogy of how we typically feel about EMILIAN. His friends do, his family does, I certainly do. Is that he's like an oak tree, or what'd you call yourself? A sequoia.
A sequoia.
A the Joshua tree.
Yeah.
General Sherman, that's a big tree.
That you can just lean on. And it was really interesting when I saw you do that. I was like, what a great analogy. And I think if you think about that in marriages, at some point, one person is leaning on the other person more than the other. So we
Great
all
point.
need times when
Wow.
you need to be able to just stand still and be flat-footed and rooted, so your partner can literally lean on you, because
Awesome.
they just need that support, and vice versa.
Awesome,
And it's
awesome.
okay. It's okay to do that.
It's
Sometimes one feels like, I don't want to pressure, I don't
Yeah.
want to burden,
Yeah.
but that's what the relationship is about.
Is all about.
Awesome,
And
awesome.
I think too a lot is, I know for me personally, I was very independent. I didn't get married until I was almost 30. And so I was very independent, had my job, my everything, had all of my stuff that I had. And so to merge that with another person, a lot of times you just like, I got my own stuff, I can do my own stuff. So it took a while before you start learning that it's okay to lean on your partner.
Awesome.
And
That's
not-
really good.
A dear friend of mine says all the time, yes, a woman can move a refrigerator, but do you really want to?
Awesome.
You
That's
know?
that's really
Right,
good.
right.
That's
Yeah.
a very valid point. I think
Yeah.
that is a struggle that
You move that refrigerator.
a
Yeah.
lot of strong women actually feel like that.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
at times, like you said, Brian, there are times where it's vice versa. You have to lean on the strength of each other in a marriage. So, I mean, for us, like, what does it mean to be strengthened in the relationship that we have?
Well, I mean, it's essential to have a partner and to know that somebody's actually there for you through thick and thin. I mean, that's the foundation. That's the relationship. That's communication. And it says exactly that in the Bible. The title of this thing is God's love letter to us, right? And first thing, we're not alone.
Yeah.
We have to remind ourselves that we're not alone.
Yes.
Right?
That definitely
and,
is
That's
and we
real.
sometimes think we're alone, and that creates a lot of stress, a lot
Yes.
of worry. We're
Yeah.
not supposed to worry.
No.
We're supposed to trust God. We're supposed to focus on Him, right? So if we do that and we trust God and we believe and have faith, then things work out.
Yeah.
That's crazy that you
in
said that.
relationships, a lot of times we operate in a vacuum.
Yes.
And
I'm
so
guilty of that.
I
I try to
so
recognize, like,
guilty of
Exactly.
operating in a vacuum. I got my vacuum, I'm in it, and I'm trying to handle
Yeah.
all my problems
Yes.
until I just can't figure it out anymore, or it's, causing my head to almost explode.
Right.
But we
Speaking
have
of-
to realize that you don't have to be in the vacuum by yourself.
EMILIAN, that what Kim just said, that's literally the next question. How are you? What does it mean to be fully committed to the relationship? In Deuteronomy 31:6, it says we're never alone, as Brian just said, and it really leads into that. You're in this thing together with somebody. What does it mean to you as a man or a man of God to really be fully committed to the relationship, and how do you stick together through thick and thin, good or bad, until death do us part? How does that commitment really still weigh in after 31 plus years?
No, well, it's going on 31 years. it's about, for me, it's about balance in a relationship. You got to know when to compromise. I'm not always right, she's not always right, but it's just how you handle those differences makes a difference in the relationship. And I'm very patient, and Kim is a go-getter type producer, and I just have to lay back and wait for her to calm down, and then we'll get to the end of a means. You know what I'm saying? So, but pretty much, thank God I'm a confident individual, because she's a strong and powerful woman. She's a strong and powerful woman. I got to understand that. Let her be who she is, and I want you to always be who you are. Not take any other identity, but express yourself. Okay, fine, but there's a balance in that too. You can't overdo it, and you not necessarily can't underdo it as well. So you got to keep that balance and keep in mind that, okay, you're not in it alone. This is a partnership and a relationship. This is a team, and as I always say, we got the same color jerseys on. So don't fight against me, because I'm on your team. Okay, let's work it out. Let's move the ball down the field, or shoot the ball in the hoop, whatever. So that's how I try to handle it.
I think a lot of people will find, and maybe that when things are humming along and things are going, you can tend to really be in your own space. You going to, meaning I'm going to my job, I'm handling my business, I'm putting whatever my portion is into the financial house, and I'm taking care of my bills or whatever, and he's doing the same. So you kind of running like that, right? Parallel. But when something crops up, or there is a situation, or there is problems with finances, or there is problem with the child who's acting out, those are the times when you really go, you have to come together. And sometimes those times
you don't know the other person. You're going, oh my God.
Yeah, but sometimes that will bring you closer to try to solve the problem, because you have to realize we're better figuring this out together on how we're going to spin out of this than us working as individuals.
That's a great point, Kim, because in our experiences, even recently, we learned transparency, or I can say I learned transparency. I tend to be the one that I'm going to keep it all in.
Yes.
I don't want to burden her. I don't want to tell her this, that, and the other. She's got enough going on in a good way.
Sure.
It's really it's to shield her from. She's got enough going on.
Absolutely.
But transparency is important, and I'm working towards that, and that's a tool that just trying to share or creating the space and being vulnerable to share has made a huge impact in our relationship.
Yeah, and the thing what you don't realize is while you're trying to shield your partner from stuff, you are acting a fool, because the stress, the keeping it in, the trying to act like you're normal.
Yeah,
It's
driving you crazy.
You're trying to act like everything's
internalizing.
okay.
Yeah.
And you think you're doing a great job, but what your partner and your family is seeing is somebody who is tempered, somebody who is just like, they're off. You can't quite put your finger on what's going on with them. And and it's because you're stressed out and you're not saying anything.
And they may start to feel that it's their fault.
And they start thinking, what have I done?
Exactly.
Why is this person so this way with me now? Why is he so short-tempered? Or whatever the case, however it oozes out of you, because it oozes out.
Y'all are definitely leading to that next question about stress.
I am totally guilty of that. Is I try to keep everything in, handle my business, and then one day you say, I'm sorry, can you pass the remote control? And I blow up.
Yeah.
And it's because I've kept everything in trying to figure it out all myself.
You got to realize that all the time, you can't be Superman all the time. You got to take off that cape and be Clark Kent.
But to your point, EMILIAN, just what Kim said, it's the stress.
Right.
The next question is like, how do you really help or tend to help each other manage the stress and manage the worry? What tools do you have to use to help each other come out of it, come out of the stress? Philippians says to pray and to not worry. Do you use messages? Do you call each other? What do you do to avoid, to help each other come out of the stress mode?
I use money.
You hear that, y'all?
I use money and food.
Right.
So if you come home and you drop a band and you say, here, I know you've been looking a little worried, here go a band. My stress dissipates almost immediately. You come home and you bring me some good Mexican food or take me for a steak dinner, I instantly feel better.
Yes.
So that's what I enjoy.
I tend to cook Caribbean food when Brian and I are like, when we aren't friends, when we're stressed. He will come home to curry chicken. Like, are we making up today? So it tends to help each other. You have to know those things. EMILIAN knows to bring you bill money. He knows those things that will help you reduce the stress and really get back into each other in the relationship. Go ahead, E.
I don't care if it's $20 I put on the table. She got money. Say, here go $20. Ooh, yeah, get some, whatever it takes, but it's like I said, it's a balance.
Awesome.
And I try to keep a positive attitude all the time in the relationship, so that it's gonna be okay. It's okay, but it's not gonna be okay. It's not okay now. But okay, calm down. But I can't be on that level with her. At the same time, somebody has to have, that calming effect in the relationship.
You both can't be on 10 at the same time.
I try to stay on a 1 or 2. Okay,
awesome.
Bam. And so it helps
to come out of that.
Define ourselves in our relationship, because I know who she is and where she is, and because she can go off like, bam,
But knowing each other, that really matters. You know what those stress points are. You know how to help relieve those stress points. And 30 years of doing that, you've learned your partner, which is a really good thing when it comes to overcoming bitterness and resentment. Brian and I just had recent challenges over the last several years where there was a huge amount of resentment and bitterness and frustration built up over time. We just, could not really figure out exactly when or where it started. But, I started taking notes, and I recall saying to him, hey, you know what? I got that one down, got that one down, got that one down.
Keeping count.
And keeping count. And when we did that, we recognized that each battle was going back to the beginning of a previous one. So, Brian, I'm going to ask you to address, for those who are seeking to overcome bitterness and resentment in relationships, what have been some of the keys to overcoming and finding forgiveness for each other? Who usually makes up first? And how do you turn around to pursue each other in the relationship? Ephesians says to pursue forgiveness, to pursue the relationship, to pursue those who are lost in companions. So what do you do to overcome, bitterness and resentment in the relationship after, 20 years?
That's a
huge.
Whoa! I don't know if we have as much, enough time to do that, to go delve deep into that, but I'll try to condense it. I think the first thing is definitely pray, and prayer, number 1, every day. Number 2, what I'm learning and I'm trying to do better is to go within, to really try to understand myself and explore and see the things that are good and maybe the things that aren't so good, right? So I think when we look introspectively at ourselves and be honest with ourselves, then we can say, I can kind of maybe change this, or maybe she's right there. I won't tell her, but maybe she is, You get that idea. But then, certainly, one thing I absolutely detest is to be in the household and we're passing by each other and we're not communicating. That is like the worst thing. And I've reached a point today where I said, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm just not going to do it. I could be the bigger person. I can initiate. I could tell a joke. I could say, hey, come here. Let me give you a hug. And usually that breaks the ice. Right? But in the past, we're just like at a Mexican standoff. And we're just there. So I think that's the biggest thing. We often try to be right, and both parties want to be right, but you could be dead right, and you could be miserably right. So you know what? We don't have to be right, and that's something that I've learned, from my good friend EMILIAN here. You don't always have to be right, and here's your part in it too. And he will tell me straight up, hey, blah 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 blah, and I go, oh, okay.
Don't want to hear it.
Oh, okay. I gotta listen to my big brother, but okay. But the point is, at the end of the day, is you could be the bigger person. You could initiate, and you can quell the situation by just.
And not keep score. And not keep score.
That's true too.
Right. Have God and God to work it out. But you can't keep working.
You can't bring it back. You can't take the old and bring it back.
Right.
One last thing.
Bridge, life goes on. You got to keep it moving because dang, I was wrong. Oh shoot, I hate to say it, but dang.
And the older you get, the less tolerant you are for all of the foolishness.
Yes.
It's like, what I'm not gonna do is walk around my house being mad.
Life is too short.
I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so, I will shut up, shut down, and go away. But it don't mean, I'm not gonna not eventually come back and talk. But I'm just not going to be in that. I'm just refusing anymore.
I think that's the key.
That helps us to get to our next point, how do you make time for each other?
I get tired of carrying the extra baggage around. I got too many things to think about on a daily basis. The kids, the house, this, that. And to carry something extra around when it's, I got other things to think about. It just takes up, it's wasted space.
Absolutely.
And to that point, I was just about to say, you got to learn to forgive.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is the key. But forgiving yourself and forgiving the other person. Often I'm not going to forget that.
Yeah. I'm not going to give in first.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk to them
But
first.
forgiveness is really for you, because if you hold that within, you're destroying yourself and the relationship around.
Yeah.
So forgive the person, let it go. Go
and
give
a
them
lot
a
of
hug.
time, if it's on you, just say I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
I just don't understand. Just say I'm sorry.
Yes.
Even if you come back a few minutes or an hour or two and say, you know what, I was being a real butt.
Awesome.
I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that,
that's huge.
You diffuse.
Yes. You break the ice. You diffuse the situation.
Well, as we get ready to wrap up here.
Not trying to win and not getting the last word. And,
Absolutely.
I got to have the last word. Okay, take it.
So give us points on how y'all spend time together. How do you come back around and spend time together? Ephesians 5 references making the best use of your time. And Colossians talks about guarding your time from outsiders and people that take up your time. In y'all's world, you're busy. Brian's always busy. We've got things going on, and work always interferes, or even kids. And in the past, it was kids interfering. How do you make time for each other as a couple?
Church.
Awesome.
Church.
Awesome.
And getting away. We just got
Church,
away.
going away.
Getting away for the weekend.
And I do recommend date night. I do recommend a night out, going away somewhere, or if you can't afford that, really put the kids to bed, go in your bedroom and sit on the floor and have a picnic.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Awesome.
And just something
quality time together.
Just having some quality, or go in the back porch and just sit and talk, play some music or whatever, if you can't afford to just go out to a nice restaurant.
Absolutely.
But I am, and anybody who knows me, I am a protector of my time. I don't like time robbers. I do not like time vampires. They will not suck my time out. Because that's all I got.
Yes.
And if you waste an hour of my time or 2 hours of my time, I am furious.
Yeah.
So I don't allow
definitely learned
vampires or time robbers to steal my time.
Right. You got to change the atmosphere and change the environment sometimes, rather than being in a stale old place. You got to just move around. There's something.
And speaking of that, that's crazy that you say that, EMILIAN. I think that we're on each other's heels. Lately, Brian's been playing the bass. He plays bass.
Right.
And I've been just making a drink and sitting down on the couch and, you know, watching him play. The TV doesn't have to be on or listening to him play, to just try to get time in with each other. No matter how creative it is or how short that time is. If I'm cooking, he's playing bass or playing the guitar in the room, we just leave the TV off and it's just us downstairs. So it gives us quality time, and you guys travel and we travel together and everything. Some of the things
love
that
watching
we do.
Netflix, and we'll find a series to watch and then dissect the whole series.
We do that too.
So
Absolutely. So today, to wrap up, you guys, I want to ask, these are God's love letters to us. They've all been related to how God loves us and how forgiving he is and how we can constantly return to God, you know, and we want to be able to constantly go back to our mate and have that same eye. You know, do we want to go to God and, you know, he's mad at us? No, we want to have that same letter of love in our heart when we're dealing with our mate. So let's quickly take a moment to tell a couple or a family that may be struggling in their relationship, what are the things that will help make their relationship last forever. We opened up with a video talking about what is the thing that makes marriage last, and I mentioned getting rid of defenses in that video, and Brian talked about transparency in that video. What are the things that you guys believe make marriage last?
I think you have to pray. I think you have to pray a lot. You have to pray a whole lot in a relationship. I think you have to be prayerful in your relationship. I really think that helps a lot.
Awesome.
So to me, that's one of the biggest keys, is you just really got to cover yourself, cover your mate, and pray about everything, because being married is a decision. Every day you wake up, you are deciding, is I'm going to stay today or is I'm going to go today? It is really a decision that you make to me every day. It's a commitment every day.
Awesome.
So I think you have to really be in tune with God, in tune with yourself, and just say, it's today to day. I'm going to stay right here and handle this and face this, you know, or I'm going to choose other.
Awesome.
For me, it's you know, God number one, and then number two, it's about us. You know, the world is out there, so you know we got to conquer the world, and it's us to conquer the world. And you got to believe in God, believe in ourselves to be successful and confident, and then you know everything else. It's like, you know, being romantic in love and embracing one another and loving one another, and let each other know that there is love in a relationship, because you can't take it for granted.
Awesome.
So, oh, she loves me.
Great
and I love
point.
her. Right. So you
Great
got
point.
to share that.
Close this out, baby.
Great point. So look, you guys, hopefully you enjoyed this series, God's love letter to us, and how it relates to our relationships and our marriages. Look, the main thing, the takeaway points, there were so many in here, but look, let's take time. Let's spend time with one another. Let's not, you know, worry or be stressed. Let's trust God. Let's pray together. Let's pray. And then, with that faith, we can make things happen. Hey, tune in next time for another excellent episode of Keeping It Real TV. We're out.